Good morning, everybody. I'm Laurie Supinski, Program Director at Star Garden. And we're really happy that you're joining us this morning on The Juice. We had planned on, for those of you who didn't know or don't know, this was a program that we had planned on unveiling and unrolling this year as just part of our new programming at Star Garden. The intention was to be, or is to be, a monthly conversation and panel discussion with entrepreneurs, just talking about different types of topics, things that entrepreneurs think about, what keeps you up at night, what goes through your mind on a daily basis. And so we launched it on Zoom because we obviously couldn't be doing it in person. And the topics that we've been trying to cover are really, really more around what are entrepreneurs and businesses doing in the face of COVID-19 and the shutdown. So, eventually, I think, the idea is to talk about more broad topics, but I think it's really timely for entrepreneurs to hear from other entrepreneurs about how we're all reacting. And, unfortunately, we had to react, but maybe now we can be a little bit proactive as well. And so, there's a lot of interesting discussions that I think people are having. So today, we're focusing on, our panelists are all restaurant owners. And I think that the restaurant industry clearly can be considered one of the hardest hit industries with regard to the shutdown. It's obviously an industry where socializing is key, and having people in your space is how you operate. And so with not only shutting down, but then with the idea of coming out of the shutdown, what does that look like when we have to practice social distancing and things like that? So without me rambling on anymore, I'd like to introduce the panelists. So we have James Berg. James is the owner of Restaurant Group, and that includes the Greenwell, Grove, and Bistro Vita. We have Gricelda, who is the owner of Lindo, Mexico. And then we've got Vincent Mcintosh, who is the owner of IRIE Kitchen. So interesting, each of the restaurants have obviously a different flavor and are different in their own way. So I think it'll be really interesting to hear from each of you on what's going on. So in no particular order, why don't we start with James and just kind of give us your story right now.
So we, like everybody else, that came into this thing nobody was really preparing for a pandemic. I don't really know anybody that was. I did not have a pandemic plan in my back pocket, but what we do have is, something that we talk about a lot in Essence Land is our culture. We believe culture trumps process. So at the end of the day, what happened, we went through this in 2008 and 9 when Essence was first starting. We had just secured a loan for Greenwell, coming off our first profitable year at Bistro Vita, and all of a sudden, here we are with the $1 million loan, and the economy is tanking. So that was that was a little different, but still that's how we grew. We grew in the crisis. So I unfortunately had some experience in that. So we just culturally just sat down with the team and decided, what are we going to do? The hardest part was the realization that we had to shut all the restaurants down. We couldn't be in the hospitality business anymore. That's what you said. We are in the business of hospitality, and that is inviting people into your home, our restaurants, and that was taken away. So we immediately had to go, what's going to happen next? And unfortunately we had to furlough 110 employees. That was the most difficult thing that I've ever had to do. You know, we sat with most everybody we could, but then it was, okay, you know, what's going to happen next? And we immediately said, you know, we're going to Bistro is not the takeout restaurant. Grove certainly is not either. And so we focused immediately on Greenwell. So we kept a core kitchen team, our chef team, and myself, my partner Hillary Edwards, Tristan, our GM at Bistro, and one of our managers, Jessica at Greenwell. And we just opened up a to-go restaurant, and really focused on, you know, how can we best, being a essential service, how can we best deliver, you know, our hospitality experience in a new way, as we call it, putting food in a box. But because we said, you know, this didn't happen just to us, it happened to all of us. So this is something that, and we were deemed an essential service. So, you know, we took that, you know, very seriously, that everybody couldn't just get their food from grocery stores. So over the couple weeks, we developed a system that we ended up calling a zero touch policy at Greenwell. We're able to work with a couple different vendors and feed hospitals, first line people, Spectrum Health, Mary Free Bed, actually feeding the Kent County Health Department workers. So that was rewarding as well, not only be able to do the food in a box, but also help the real first line, the real essential services. I mean, the government deemed us as essential service. So we, again, you know, not that we're doctors or nurses, but we definitely fulfilled a service that our community needed, clearly, because our food, as we're seeing now, our supply chains are all out of whack as far as a month into this, product and different things are just not available. Or we have to go into find different resources to get product. And you're going to start seeing that on a bigger level in the coming weeks, where you get your food from, what it looks like, it's going to be a little different than it was 2 months ago, for sure. So that's kind of our quick down and dirty story.
Okay. Gricelda.
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm the owner of Lindo, Mexico. And well, for us, right after the executive order, we did stay open for 1 week. We tried to adjust to the new rules set by the governor, and we tried. But, you know, during that week, we were fortunate that our customers responded very well. But, you know, a lot of our staff were concerned, especially because they had kids at home. And even though we try to always be a very clean restaurant all the time, regardless. And now we were putting in place even more sanitary practices to make sure that our customers knew that, you know, we were doing everything possible to keep them safe and keep our team safe. But, you know, at the end after the first week, we just said, you know what, I think we're going to do our part. You know, it was very sad. And for me, you know, and just like James, and I'm sure other business owners, laying off your staff, for me, it's a hard decision. I don't like firing people. I don't like laying off people. It's, you know, because they have a family just like I do. And so it was very hard. So I have to kind of strategize on how I was going to do this. And without having my team having so much financial burden on their shoulders after not having a job. So I kind of strategized, and you know, we made this decision. And up to now, you know, I've been trying to help as much as I can my team. I feel that they're my pillars, you know, they're the restaurant's pillars. We need to take care of them, and I need to take care of them. So some of them call me work mom. So imagine how I feel. I need to take care of my kids, basically. And that's what I've been trying to do. I've been, you know, we've been kept very close. I check on them very often to see how they're doing, if they need anything. And sending resources over to them as well. And But again, by nature, I'm an introvert, but I love being in the restaurant. I mean, that's my baby. And I think a lot of us feel that way. And, when you see your baby going through all these things and there's not a lot that you can do, it was hurting me. So, we've been with Lindo for 20 years. So imagine my 20-year-old baby, it's going through something. And it's just now it's more like, okay, what do I do? We have to get through this. I mean, there's no other option. At least for me, that's how I feel. We have to go through this, and all we have to do is just think and adjust and to the situation and keep positive. And even though there's so many bad things happening out there, I think that we need to stay positive. And I always say that there's always a way. There's always a way. We just have to find it. So I think for me, keeping that positivity has helped me a lot. I do plan to reopen pretty soon again, but again, I had to really think, take my time, and find other ways to change my business model for the moment, and kind of prepare too for when we are allowed to open the dining area. So, that's kind of where we are at the moment.
Vincent.
Hello, everyone. Well, first off, I want to say I love your guys' restaurants, by the way. Your food is like amazing.
Thank you.
So, yeah, IRIE Kitchen, we opened probably about 3 years ago. So I'm newer and younger. So you guys know how that is when you just open a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
But we're, just like you said, James, we do food in the box, though. Like, we're a takeout spot primarily. And when we started getting rumblings of COVID-19, I just pivoted really fast. And so we were going to drop IRIE delivery in the summer anyway. And so we had like a lot of plans. Like this was my profit year. I was up 60, 70%. I was like, finally, only a restaurant has been the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm an entrepreneur, so I do different things, but running a restaurant is probably like the hardest thing, right? And you throw a pandemic on top of it, just breaks the camel's back. And so I'm like, okay, crap, like what are we going to do now? So we did delivery for a while, and actually like our business was sustained, but same with Lindo, Mexico, a lot of my like employees were scared about getting sick. And so one of our core missions in my business is people over profit. So I always take care of my people, always pay them good. If anything we can do, I always take care of it. And a lot of them were afraid, a lot of them didn't want to get sick. And so, and also my pops were seeing me too. And so he's a little bit older too. And so we had a conversation with the team. It pretty much came down to that for an extra $20, I couldn't like risk getting my team sick, and even though we're doing well right now, even though we're expanding, even though we're essential, even though I think we're very important, you gotta listen to your team and have feedback. And so they've been with me from the beginning. We're warriors from the beginning. So if I don't have my soldiers with me, then like, what's the point, So, so we decided to temporarily close down for right now. And right now we're just working on different things to do in the meantime, whether that's content, whether that's whatever, to still expand our brand, still try to make some money somehow. And we're always, we're just all trying to stay positive. We're just listening to the news and the facts to see when we can reopen, because I get about 20 angry messages a day about that why we're closed. And I'm like, guys, like, it's a pandemic, So, but yeah.
Yeah. Gricelda, yesterday when we chatted, you were telling me that you think that the first week of May, I mean, here's the thing, right? We don't really know yet when things are going to slowly open back up. And I think we obviously know that it's going to be slowly. But it's a really, I would imagine, well, and I know this too, because my husband and I run a hospitality-based business where even though things open back up, you have to have a plan for your rollout. And what does that mean? And what does that look like? So, Gricelda, you had said that you were thinking that maybe the first week of May, you would open back up as takeout, right? And so that's kind of something that you've been working on. And I guess, we'll see so would your plan still be the same if the stay-at-home order for Michigan gets extended till the 15th or whatever? You still think that you would do the takeout starting the beginning of May?
That is a plan for right now. I've been working on different things to do more contactless. So, I've been working on my online ordering, which is something that we didn't have. It's something that I will be implementing very soon. I am a control freak by nature. So I tend to work on things because I wanted them done a certain way. And so sometimes it does take me a little longer to get something done, but it has to be how I want it because it's my vision of how I want something to work. And so sometimes, even though I surround myself with people that help me, I still like to go over everything. And so I've been working on how to program my POS system in a way that it's very easy and inconvenient for our customers, because I do put myself in the position of a customer as well. And I want something that's fast and that's easy and not going through so many things. So I've been working on that. And so we also reduced our menu. Our menu is pretty big. And so we kind of took our top sellers, and that's what we have on our menu right now, or what we're gonna be having. Something also that it's gonna still taste good when you warm it up at home, because that's one thing that, our food is designed to be eaten right there at the restaurant. I mean, that's our food. Everybody's food tastes better when it's eaten right away. So that was another one of my concerns as well. Okay, how, even though we did have carryouts before, I have to make sure that I put in a menu something that our customers are going to still enjoy when they get home, when they warm it up. So I've been working on that. And then I've been working on the online gift cards as well, because that is something that I didn't have either. So, I'm almost there. And so again, the things have to be the way I envision them, and if I say, right now I'm saying it's the first week of May, but if it takes me to the second week of May, I will be willing to wait, or even third week of May,
Right.
So yes, so but again, we have to consider what the governor says. And also, I listen to the news. I don't listen to the news every day, I'll be honest. It's overwhelming. So I listen to it, maybe for 30 minutes, in the afternoon, and only to one certain channel, one certain person, and that I think it's reliable. Or sort of reliable. And then, I go from there. I'm not afraid of making adjustments, making changes. If plans have to change, I'm okay with that. I feel that it's better to take our time and do things right than rush them and then having something bad happening. So that's the plan at the moment.
There's a couple of questions from panelists, but before we do that, I just had a question for James as well, because you said that Bistro Bella Vita and Grove were not really designed or set up to do carry out, but you felt like Greenwell was the opportunity for that. Do you see that remaining part of the business model moving forward?
Well, before this happened, our industry was, about 3 or 4 years ago, the tectonic plates of our industry were shifting. Just a cultural shift from the millennials taking over, and as the boomers are aging, our customer base is different, and with technology. So we had becoming in the forefront. We had invested heavily last year in a whole new a cloud-based POS system. So we were able to have all of our menus online. And so we were fortunate that we invested in this last year. So when this happened, we were able to quickly shift and pivot. Like Vincent said, we were able to pivot Greenwell into a complete online ordering system. So we're able to do no phone calls, no credit cards, no exchanging of cash. Guests were not coming in the restaurant. So we're immediately able to shift to that zero touch system. And Greenwell is and that was a restaurant that we were literally the Monday, the 23rd, we're going to introduce a new to-go packaging online pickup system, kind of like Chipotle, where you'd order it, and we had the system all set up. So we were able just to kind of put that in place a week earlier. So, just understanding where the industry is going, what this has done, our industry, the 3 to 5 years in the future is just today now. This is just going to have a dramatic impact on our industry going forward, without question. And if you're not understanding and seeing that, you're not going to have a business plan moving forward, or a viable business moving forward. What it's also doing to the brewery industry, it's just devastating. It just forced the hand of people. If we weren't moving in the future, and you're trying to do, there's restaurants will still be restaurants, there will be those. I think Bistro will be that because it's downtown where it's located. Grove is something that, we're going to shift into something else. We're going to, and temporarily, we're going to open up another to-go business next week there. We're going to announce that on Monday. So, we're just, the future is now, and we're just embracing it.
Right. Interesting. So we've got a question to all the panelists. What takeout and POS systems are you guys working with right now?
Well, we shifted to a Heartland POS. Heartland, they do our credit cards, our gift cards, they do our payroll, and they had purchased a app-based cloud POS system about 1.5 years ago called Mobile Bytes that was converted to a full service. So we were one of the first here in West Michigan to use it. We don't have the control of a Chipotle or these bigger stores to do exactly how the app I want it to be, like we were talking about, but it works pretty well, and they've made a lot of adjustments since in the last 6 weeks to it. But it's pretty user friendly for the customers. I mean, there's some glitches here and there, but that's what we use, and there's a lot out there, so. But I did a lot of research on it, and this one worked well for us because it was in that same cloud, so it integrates fully with our payroll, our credit cards. So it's nice in that sense. It can eliminate some labor, that unnecessary labor, and just be more accurate for us.
Vincent, what do you guys use?
So actually, I've been playing around with a lot of POS systems, but right now we're currently using Square, which I didn't think I'll ever use. But I like it because it's easy to train, they're quick, and they're fast with updates. And so a lot of my team are like younger people. And so it's easier for them to press a button and your food is ready than like do anything else, right? So like, let me make it easy on them because, orders are getting messed up and whatever. And then so with online, remember I come from like other stuff. So I have friends that build websites, build all that kind of stuff. So I had them pretty quickly build me an online ordering website. We didn't go app route just because I didn't think I had a brand pull to get people to download my app. But I definitely have so go on my website and order food. And so that's kind of what we did. I love Square. So the way I look at it, matters what your business is doing, right? I started off with Resi, but I wasn't doing the numbers, I think, to manage a Resi or use it effectively. So when you're looking for POS systems for your restaurant or retail business, go based off if you already have a year in or 2 years in. What is your gross? What's your team members? Who's managing POS? For pandemic situations or bad situations, how well do they change and pivot for you? But yeah, there's so many great ones out there. I prefer ones that also handle payments though. Just because you save you some money, you can watch how much you're paying in fees. So whoever can process for you, I would say that's a great service. Yeah, that's got my 2 cents on POS.
Yeah, and I use Aloha POS. Again, it does have a lot of features. And one of them, again, it's really payroll reports. I can run the payroll reports. It does have an app that I can use on my phone. So basically I have my business on my phone. I can see a lot of things from there. I love that. And I am working with them on the online ordering as well. And they do have companies that they work with for the online gift card. It's been a very good system for us. Again, it's not perfect, but and I'm the kind of person that I use something, but I'm always looking for, okay, what's better? What's what can do some, what's another POS? And again, like Vincent, I try different ones. And see which one will do what I want it to do. Again, always thinking about convenience for the customer and for our staff as well, easy to use.
I would say for people that are out, if you're getting into it and you haven't purchased a POS system, doing a cloud-based is hands down the way to go, because eliminates I'm not in the IT business, so by moving to the cloud, I eliminated 16 computers from my stores. I don't have to do updates. I don't have to worry about, is it Windows 7, is it Windows 10? I don't need an IT guy. It's just an iPad and an app, and it's just instant. You just don't have any issues. I mean, I've not had, in 6 months, I've not had one, what I call the 20-year-old computer problems. That hard drive goes down or screen breaks or whatever. You just don't have those. So, and it's more cost effective. And then you're able to adapt as technology changes. It's just reloading the app. It's just literally that simple. It really is.
Murphy, do we have another question?
Yeah, we have a couple. So somebody asked, do you feel as the restrictions begin to lift that you'll start by reservation only or scheduling tables versus doing walk-ins?
Yeah, for us, and I think that's something that we talked about yesterday with Laurie. We entrepreneurs are known for our creativity, right? So we need to start thinking on how we're going to do this. And one of the things that I was thinking is doing that. Just open the dining area by reservations. We have to think about safety for our team and our customers as well. So yeah, I'm actually thinking about that, just by reservation only once we can open the dining area.
Yeah, for us, with the three concepts, Greenwell, once we're able to pivot to some restriction, it's not going to be a restaurant boom. It's going to be a slow roll as far as some people, there's just certain people just aren't going to go out. They're just not going to go out until there's some type of better long-term solution for them. So with Greenwell, we'll be able to do a kind of a hybrid, a little bit of each. Grove, in the meantime, we're just going to keep it with this new concept we're opening next week. It'll just be a purely a to-go restaurant. And then Bistro, because of the size, we'll be able to do a social distancing restaurant where we can have, if it's 6 feet, we'll be 8 feet tables. We have a banquet room, which we're not going to be doing banquets, so we're just going to use that for normal dining. And we were already making the move from open table to TOC, which is a great system for reservations. So while we can be reservations, we're able to be able to take walk-ins as well, which I'm sure we'll be able to, because we're at a large restaurant. That's our plan, and just really be able to have solutions for every person that wants to either go out to eat or just wants to still do the to-go or do a little bit hybrid of each. So we're already thinking through when and how that will happen, because the social distancing for restaurants could go on for a year or more, depending on how, with the herd mentality, the vaccination, whatever your belief in all that is. And the reality is, until the consumer's confident that to go out, it's not going to change regardless of what the rules are.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm primarily takeout anyway. So I just told my team, like, we're just not gonna let anybody sit down just because I have a small restaurant. So, yeah. But I do have a question for you guys. Like, how has takeout affected like your day to day? Do you guys see like a path to success for you? Example, James, you have 3 restaurants, pretty good size. How does that affect? Have you seen any major difference, or is it like, oh, this actually can be still like sustained by doing just takeout?
Well, when we first started this, like everybody else, the first couple of weeks with the team that, there's 10 of us that did this, we were all questioning every day, is this the right thing to do? So we about once a week, we would sit down and just ask the team, do we want to do this? And if there's somebody who doesn't want to do this, we said, we'll walk away from this. We just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. So there's always that. And we all agreed that we felt like we were doing the right thing, especially as we started to get involved into the working with the hospitals and stuff like that. And it made it have more meaning to us. Because at that point, it's not, if I did it just for profit, we wouldn't do it. That's not what that was about. Like Vincent said, we're culture trumps process. I mean, our vision is, we call it the kindness principle. So it's not, if it's just about profit, then that's all it's going to be about, and you're going to get exposed eventually. And so our team that was there, we relied on them. So it wasn't just my decision as the owner, we're doing this. It's like, what do you guys think? So transitioning to a takeout, we, as a team, we just adapted to becoming a takeout restaurant. On Easter, we did a ham and roast beef dinner. We sold 150 dinners in 3 days. We had to stop selling them on Thursday. So we had 150 people. We had these pickup times from 4 to 7. We sold them for, good value. It was just a really unique experience. We had timed out like 20 people every half hour to come pick up, and offered wine with it. So it's just being creative. We've done a lot of, we're doing chicken meals to go. We're doing lasagna, take and bakes. So I'd say about 30% of our business is that whole take the meal meal replacement. And then, so the core menu's gotten smaller, but we've added a whole deli section. So it's just being creative. My Tristan Wilkowski, my GM beverage director, put our whole wine list on Bistro Vita website. So he's a level 2 SOM. So now he's developed this whole online wine system. And he developed yesterday, introduced a wine club that we wanted to do later this year. We're just doing this now. He's already signed up 10 people. So it's just, having creative people, allowing them to be creative. I just mostly stay out of the way, let them do the work. I've had my time, the creativity is long since, they rely on me for the big decisions, and I stay out of I let them run the creative side of it, and they do a great job. And Chef Jeremy Paquin has been amazing as well, his team as well. So, and my partner Hillary, and just creatively together, it's been something that we'll look back on when we're older and go, wow, we really, the culture that we built in this last 6 weeks has been pretty cool together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for us, again, it's adjusting, it's adjusting and be creative. And I think just like James mentioned, it's coming out with new things, and something that's affordable and thinking more about family friendly, something that people can come pick up and take home. For us, our dining revenue was, I want to say, about 90%. So it was a hard hit for us. But now again, I'm that kind of person that doesn't give up very easily. And, if I go down, I'm not going to go down without a fight, basically. And so, I just have to be creative, and, and thinking of being creative, I think that we have to take care of ourselves, because that's another thing too, that, I kind of want to mention. In order for us to be creative and come up with ideas, we kind of have to step away sometimes. And even from our kids, from our family, from everyone, basically kind of isolate ourselves, in the office or whatever you want to be, to kind of start thinking. And that's kind of where your best ideas come from. So, for me, I do have, what Jane said, kind of those same ideas of doing at the restaurant. So, but, we'll find out whether that will be, something that will keep us open or not, but I guess only time will tell.
What I thought was interesting too, that you said, Gricelda, is, it's a whole different concept when you're thinking about food as a takeout item versus food that you serve on a plate in a restaurant. And so if you start out that way, like Vincent, you obviously when you planned your menu and your concept, you anticipated that people were going to come in and take it out and eat it outside of your space. But that's a whole different way of approaching food and a menu, right? I mean, so, and like you said, you pared it down because you just are focusing on food that you feel like is going to be better suited for takeout. So, maybe, I mean, paring down the menu is a good thing. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Yeah. And I guess my positive mind always thinks that everything happens for a reason. And we need to think, what are the lessons that we can learn from this? How can this make us better? As entrepreneurs, as business owners, and to keep us going and adjust. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Murphy, do we have more questions?
We do. We have a question. Are you all planning on doing delivery internally outside of Uber Eats, DoorDash as well, or just pickups?
That's a good question.
Yeah, no delivery for us. I'll leave that to you folks.
Yeah, you guys can just hop in. So on Uber, so I have a internal beef with all these delivery services. I just think they're cancer and they're predatory. So that's kind of how I look at them, especially for a small city like Grand Rapids. You can make the argument of a California, New York, or Chicago, they're more effective. But they do charge, they kind of double dip. They charge the customer and then they charge the restaurant. And they control a lot of times your payment. So to me, when I first heard of the Uber Eats and all this stuff, I was kind of what's the point? What's your selling prop? And they're probably not used to restaurant owners asking them that. You tell a restaurant owner you can make us some extra money, they're probably going to say yes off bat. And so I was just curious about how they worked it. And just with radiuses and how they double dip and how they charge, you end up paying a vig for your own customer. That's how I looked at it. If someone's ready coming to your restaurant, they're probably going to be the first ones to adopt an Uber Eats or Grubhub locally. The argument is marketing, but they do have a radius. So for someone like me who's on the other side of town, I can't really connect with anybody else except for my little radius, and they already come to my restaurant. And I actually, to prove my theory, I tested it out for a couple months, and I cut it off. And people are calling me were customers I haven't seen in 2 months, and they were ordering off Uber Eats, and I feel like I just lost the customer, and I paid a high percentage for a customer that was ready coming. So personally, I think it is smart if you can figure out how to do your own delivery service. If I was in a Greenwell position, I would definitely, once things get cleared up, figure out moped or bike service or walking, just for anyone that's local. But other than that, I wouldn't try to do too much that's not in our wheelhouse. And for us, we did IRIE delivery and it worked, but there's a lot of logistic things you have to figure, right? So, what's the time from A to B? Does the food travel well? How fast can you do it? And so, and that was hard for us because we were takeout and pickup. We didn't do delivery. So figuring out the logistics of that was okay, this is a whole different business. Doesn't even make sense for what we're selling. Can I even make money off it? And that money's for profit, but money money I gotta sustain. I can't lose on this, right? So yeah, it's been an interesting process. But if you own a restaurant or anything like that, I'll really urge you not to use Uber Eats unless maybe you can deliver liquor and maybe there's more profit margin there. I don't know. But other than that, I would just urge you not to do that and just try to do it yourself or just have your customers come pick it up.
I'm literally, go ahead.
Oh, I said thank you for the advice, Vincent, because I am looking into DoorDash and Uber Eats. But again, I'm doing my research right now, and just kind of trying to find out, does this make sense? And another thing that was one of my concerns is their staff trained as far as safety goes, and sanitizing and then on all of that. So that was a big concern for me as well.
That's where I'm very leery of anything that another brand touching my brand that's not that share the same values. And so for us, it just was not really an option. because of our value proposition. It's just, when you look at those organizations, regardless of their names, it's just good, bad, or indifferent. It just don't align with who we are. So based on that, it would never it just was an easy decision for us when it comes to that. And delivery is just something that it's not for everybody. And I mean, pizza, you think of pizza, you think of Jimmy John's, and it's fast, it's just because they have that one-off product. So you have to be really careful of what you're delivering, and then what are the vehicles, not since the car, but making sure that brand that you're partnering with, that they are your partner now. They're an extension of your brand. So whether it's Uber Eats, DoorDash, whatever, you, by working with them, you're associating with them with your brand. So to your point, they're at the hands of their ability to deliver your product. So be very careful of that.
Yeah. So did you say, are you going to do delivery, or are you just going to stick with takeout, James?
We're not, no delivery for us.
Delivery. It's going to be,
if it's something we do, the things that we have in for our vision and plan, delivery, unless it's something we do neighborhood, like it is a moped or a bike, like around Greenwell. Yeah, that's something down the road. But right now, that's not something that we got more in front of us before I'd get to the point of delivery, for sure.
We have a couple questions. We have some on Facebook, some here on Zoom. And someone is curious, did anyone receive the Paycheck Protection Loan, or were able to get anything from that?
Yeah, we were we were able to work with our local bank and able to get that loan for us.
Yeah, and for us, that first round, I didn't apply because we were closed. So, and I knew that I wasn't gonna open, within those 8 weeks. And so I didn't apply. I did talk to my banker and my accountant and, kind of figure things out. But so I didn't, but I am in the waiting list for the second round so that I can apply because of, the plans of reopening pretty soon for carry out. So hopefully, we can get something.
Yeah, we applied, but we didn't get an answer yet. So I'm taking it. I don't know if that means a no or what, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really not yet. It's not like applying for something. I mean, if you're a business, you'll actually get it if there's funding. But
yep.
it was, this thing happened so fast, so quickly. The SBA on an annual basis does 66,000 loans. So in that first week, there were some million applications.
Yeah.
Just imagine the insanity of this. So with in the end, in fact, people actually got money, but unfortunately the money got to the wrong people. As we're seeing, even locally here, where there's a local group that got like 29 million, which is ridiculous, and they're not really local. And it's just, that's unfortunate, but when there's a money grab, and in the second round, I think it's going to be, hopefully, knock on wood, they're supposed to pass in the House today, that it's going to be more control on where that money goes, because it got like some of these big companies from PR standpoint had to decide, like Shake Shack, give it back, and they should all give it back because they're not protecting their employees. If they're saying that when they're living in $1 million mansion, that doesn't really work well with me.
No, I agree.
I mean, if I'm an owner, I'm bussing tables, cleaning bathrooms. I'm in my restaurants, and that just, I'm, and so this money for us allows us to, if we can't use it all, we're going to turn it into a loan, and just as a, just to be able to continue to survive, and just be able to, we said, if we can survive, we're going to thrive on the other side of this. But if on the other side of this, access to capital is going to be few and far between. So if somebody's going to give you money, I say take it, and let they want to take it back, they're going to have to come fight for it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got another question. As we all continue to react to the changes that come about as a result of the pandemic, how do you feel about having a support fund source, like a line of credit, that allows you to handle expenses and support other things that need to be cared for in your business?
Well, I think that's kind of what we just talked about, what the PPP is. Even though it has this weird 75%, 20, I get all into the wonkiness of it. At the end of the day, it's just people are so scared and nervous. If I spend it, what's going to happen? I'm like, after talking to a lot of different people and just, and I'm a bit of a numbers wonk myself. So I'm just like, they're giving us money and, and some of it will be forgiven, maybe it won't. But at the end of the day, it's just, if I have access to capital at 1%, even though it's a 2-year payoff, I'm going to take that all day long, even in a normal situation. And it's no prepayment penalty. So in a sense, it's a line of credit that I have that we took it, and I'll deal with how we deal with that later. But again, if you're going to give business access to capital at 1%, I mean, you got to take it. I'm sorry, it's a no-brainer.
It's a good deal.
Yep.
Also, to add to that, I think anyone that's a small restaurant having a line of capital like funds of that, just very essential, right? Like the bigger guys, to James' point, they can get access to capital in so many different ways, right? Like they're publicly traded companies, they do enough gross, there's private capital, there's a lot of money they can get. So you see frustrations online is because of that, right? It's because, I can't get 20 million from anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but Shake Shack can, like they can just call one person up and get 20 million. So they don't really need that money. So and with how rushed it was, I expected human error. I just didn't expect for no one to be like, hey, wait a minute, like all these really big companies are signing up.
Yeah.
Like maybe we should like manage that. Or maybe we should at least manage the PR about who gets money and when, like, you know what I'm saying? Because it kind of blew up, I feel like, on everybody's face a little bit. But yeah. Yeah,
I agree with both of them. If you have that possibility, take it. It's, like James said, if it's 2 years at 1%, hey, we have to deal with what we have right now, and we'll deal with that later when it comes. Yep. But right now we have a problem we have to solve at the moment. So I was one of the fortunate ones, I guess, that, I did apply for the $10,000 disaster loan, and I did get that. And so that has been helping me, pay the bills, basically. I also made arrangements with my bank as well, for my the mortgage on my building. So I think it's very important, to try to find a way to kind of be stable at the moment. We'll deal with the rest later. So.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is, you don't know how many times moving forward you're going to have to make some pivots. Right. So, I mean, the access to a little bit of capital to make some changes, whether it's, redesigning the restaurant, redesigning menus, changing vendors, different packaging for takeout. I mean, all of those things could come with some unexpected or unanticipated costs that having access to a little bit of money on the front end will help.
One of the number one reason small businesses fail is because of a lack of capital, not because of a good plan. They just don't have capital or access to it. So, again,
that's real.
All right, we've got another question. Once you do reopen doors or open to dining, do you plan to put some sort of dress code in place with masks or encourage customers to follow certain safety precautions in an effort to keep your staff safe and healthy?
I guess for like staff, I can see something like make sure that, because I think a lot of it is perspective and perception, right? So if someone walks into your restaurant, you have an open kitchen concept or have hostess and waitresses, maybe they would like to see someone with a mask on and like protection, like we don't know. I mean, I don't know at least like what's going to be required of restaurants now, right? Like most restaurants are already clean, we already have we have our processes, so on top of this, people might want your waiter to have a mask on. People might want your cashier to have like a full like plexiglass or whatever thing on to protect them. Obviously, you can't tell the customers anything, right? Like you can't make customers wear gloves and a hazmat suit to go in your restaurant. But, you can definitely make sure your team is safe and make sure that they're protected And whatever the government says, CDC, whoever says what we have to do, I think we'll all just go with the flow. I just don't want to pay a lot of money for hazmat suits. So they make us like do hazmat suits. Can they like at least give us 10 for free? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to like be in the situation where I'm buying hazmat suits and Mcintosh, whoever's picking them up and watching them for me, you know? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that, I think we all took for granted before that when you go in a restaurant, you assume that everything's sanitary, and maybe some people think about that more than others, but now it's at the forefront of people's minds. So, whether it's that you're doing anything different than you were before, you might not be. I mean, but now it's going to be the optics of how people perceive being safe and sanitary and everything else. So it's not just the team that's working in the restaurant, but then people are going to be coming in and dealing with other customers. So it's really all about, I guess, everybody doing their part, but it's hard to judge how that's going to affect people.
Yeah, I think the two big phrases will be new normal and supply chain. You'll hear that ad nauseum for the next 3 to 5 years, I think. It'll be the new tipping point. Yeah, I think it's just going to come down to, what's required, what's the minimum requirement, and then what each restaurant, each business individually, what do you feel is appropriate for your brand? I think it's just, obviously you don't want to go below the minimum, but you also don't want to be so to the point where we're in hazmat.
Yeah, exactly.
Scaring our customers. At some point, any epidemiologists, we're gonna have to learn to live with this thing. And if you as a consumer are concerned, then stay home. And not if you've had the disease and then we don't know 100% of anything. If the antibodies you have, we just don't know, but we can make some assumptions on that some people are just going to be they're going to go out and they're going to be fine with it, but we have to have guidance from the governor and in each state to what that minimum requirement is, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with James too. I think once the government gives us more guidance, we can, those are going to be the minimum, of course, and then we'll decide what else we need to do to make sure that our customers know, hey, we are taking care of this, we're serious, and we want to take care of you and our team as well. So I think once we hear again from the governor, the government will know more.
And if she's listening, don't wait till 2 days before. We need
we need more time.
Please. Thank you.
The business owner, I just want news, whether it's good or bad. I don't care. I want to know what's going to happen so I can plan accordingly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have another question. How do you think this will impact the future and whether people choose the hospitality industry as a career?
Well, I think a lot of restaurants are going to be closed, and so it's going to thin out the herd a little bit, because our industry again the growth in our industry was out of control. You had the fast casual, the brewery, the expansion in the last 5 years, because the access to capital was cheap, money was cheap, so everybody, and the barrier to get in the restaurant is, you cook a good meal at home, and somebody says, hey, you should open a restaurant. So our barrier to get into this industry was low. And then you add the whole fast casual, the Chipotle model that just blew up. The last 2 years finding employees was difficult. And so, and also because a lot of people did not want to work in the industry. If their mother or fathers worked in the industry in the 90s, seeing like working the long hours, and that's just changed. People don't work 70, 80 hours. I mean, that's just not, if it is, then you shouldn't work there. And because like I said, the culture, we talked about culture trumps process, and if you don't have a happy staff serving hospitality, I mean, you're not going to be successful. That's bottom line. And the average age of my employee is still 25 years old. The same. That's why I said I started at Bistro when I was 28, and so the average age of my employees are still the same. I've just aged. So culturally, they made that choice for us, and I agree with them that, you know, I don't want to work 90. I mean, in the 90s, I worked 90 hours. That's what we did. But, you know, I don't want my kids working like that. And my kids both work for us. So, and they're not working, you know, they're going to school and all that. But so I think it's up to us. And if the three of us were making the choices, I think people would want to work for us, because we're developing that culture. It's what it comes down to. So I think it's still, some will be reluctant to come into it. But that's, I mean, we're going to work at a grocery store. I mean, your options are just going to be based on the coronavirus. And then, it's like somebody joked, if the guy driving around the car with a mask on, you know, it's like you're by yourself with a car, just, you know, take the mask off. It's okay.
That's hilarious. I kind of take of it like a lot of like, I would say getting employees ready were hard. And I think for young people who want to get into the business, you know, it's not a pretty business, not sexy, right? Like we like it because we're like weird, you know what I'm saying? So like other people are not as much into washing dishes or having to deal with a bad customer, right? The realities of running a restaurant. So I think this might create even more of an excuse for people not to get into it. But anyone who does, I think just the cream rise to the top mentality. Like if you're in it and you still want to do it amongst like long hours or customer service or a pandemic, then we're probably gonna get really good people to be part of our team. And to James' point, I feel like culture over process. Like every restaurant that I've been through or worked at is always like a revolving door. Someone's here for 2 months, 2 years, and they're on to the next job, in between jobs, paying for school. So I think what's gonna keep people around is that culture. You know, do they want to be part of what you're building? Do they see a future here? You know, I think those conversations are going to be way more important for like restaurants locally and around our country. It's like, how can you get good people to stay? Because you need, like I said earlier, you need your soldiers. You know, you need people to be able to fight with you. So, you know, you're only as strong as your weakest link. You know, we don't want no weak links over here. You know, as far as tell my team.
Yes, and I think that that's why it's so important that, you know, we're going through these hard times, and like for us that we have our team, we take care of them. I think that gives a good example to the rest of, you know, the world. Hey, if you take care of your people, they'll be more willing to come to you. So I think we have to give that example. And, you know, I actually know 3 people that are waiting for the state to open because they want to get their licenses to open a restaurant. Isn't that funny? You know, in this crisis, they just say, well, you know what, we're just waiting. So as soon as we're allowed to get our licenses, and we're going to start. And I said, wow, I mean, hey, you know what, when you have a passion for it, you know, you will overcome whatever comes your way. So
And I was thinking that too. I mean, I know some people who were in the process of getting ready to open, and they just hadn't yet. But how, you know, I mean, how will this change people's desires to even, you know, go into the restaurant business at this point? You know, I mean, it'll be really interesting to see, because as you said, you know, some restaurants are not going to make it through this, and so I think sadly we won't see all the restaurants that are shut down right now open back up. And so, you know, does that create a niche or a void, or you know, how is that going to be moving forward? Are people going to step up and fill that spot, or what? So, well, we actually are at 11 o'clock. So I'd like to thank all the panelists, and I'd like to see if there's anything else any of you want to say sort of in closing. This has, I think, been really a great discussion and really interesting, informative. It's crazy times we're living in. So the fact that we're, you know, discussing things like this, to me, is almost surreal. But James, do you have anything you want to say?
I'll just say that as we go forward, just as a consumer, be very mindful of, you know, where you're spending your money more so than ever, and just who, you know, and I was worked with Local First, the organization, for many years, chaired the board. It's just couldn't be more true now. It's just the people that are here today, 3 of us and you folks, and just, Start Garden. I mean, it's just is about our community and just taking care of the people that are doing it the right way. And it just be very mindful of that as we come out of this, where you spend your money. And if you can't, I mean, yeah, I use Amazon, but maybe that next purchase, or you think maybe when this is over, where else can I get that thing? I think we all have to do a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Gricelda?
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you for the invite. And I really learned from both James and Vincent. I love their passion as well. So, but, I agree with everything that they said. And I just want to say that this is when we need to be united, regardless of who we are, where we come from. It's very important that we take care of each other, that we check on each other, and help each other. All of our businesses are at different stages. And some of us have more knowledge than others. But I think that if we're there for them, or if other people are there for us, we'll get through it. Because it's important that we surround ourselves with mentors that can guide us, that've been through it, or that they might know ways where, hey, I don't see my restaurant opening. Well, you know what? Maybe if you do this, you will open again. It's just being there for each other. So that's very important, not to forget. So, and then for the consumers, it's being understanding. This is an adjustment for all of us, and we are learning as we go. So, we do require a lot of patience, a lot of positive feedback, constructive feedback. I think that's very important to keep us going. This is all we need at the moment. Leave the bad reviews for when we're in a normal environment. Right now, just please give us a break. And then that's it, and I think all I can say is keep positive, and be there for each other.
Vincent?
They summed it up great, but thank you guys for having me on. It was great to learn from you guys as well, and a lot of great questions. I have a couple beliefs, and I feel like West Michigan is small enough that we can all weather the storm. And I think, and that may be a little bit optimistic, but I kind of feel like if we just stay constant communication and clear communication, I think we all can share ideas and we all can help each other out. And as a consumer, I would say just please communicate what your needs are, where you're at. That helps us. Sounds like everyone up on this panel is consumer driven. So whatever our people want, we'll do. So just let us know what you're thinking. What do you need from us so we can stay around? We don't want to be so far off. And you go, well, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to order that. Right. And then also to James' point, just watch where your money goes locally. I'm not one to put pressure on people to do with their money, but I have been seeing so many people still consider eat at fast food restaurants and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you do know there's restaurants that are local that are still open you can support, and so especially you're getting from a burger, right? I'd rather get a burger from a local guy, than a McDonald's kind of thing, and I understand ease and there could be price things and whatever. And I understand that, but just be conscious with your spend and please communicate with us. I love with our brand, people are letting me know what they want already when we open up. And so I'm excited to be able to give that to them. So please don't feel free to reach out to your favorite restaurant, your retail shop, whatever. Let them know, hey, if you do this, I'll buy it. That'll help us a lot.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate you spending your time with us this morning, and we will be in touch. So talk to you soon.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.